Please don't come in. So, for the guys who are watching us, welcome to Aura 8. My name is Vaibhavv Ali. And today we are going live with a humongous personality who is actually responsible in shaping the world as we see today, specifically in AI. We will be having him joining us very soon. So I am all excited in having a conversation with him. In the meantime, my viewers can share their questions, share their ideas, and we can have it on here. Dr. Ben, how are you doing today?
Hey, pretty well. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. I love the hat. I love
All
the
right.
vibe, and it's always great to see you. I think last we met briefly at Singapore Token 2049,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
here you are on the live stream.
Yeah. Good to chat once again.
Absolutely, Dr. Ben. So I'll tell you what we do here. We go live every single weekday with one objective is to understand the future of money because the world is moving at a speed that perhaps human race has never seen before. We do talk about the transition from horse carriages to cars, but it didn't happen in 3 hours like setting up an open claw on the desktop. It took, if one had to book a car, it took maybe a year or 6 months for the car to arrive. We talk about the transition from typewriters to computers that took its own sweet time for the transition to happen. But here we are at a cusp where things are moving at a speed that we can't even recognize the world perhaps today to what it was 9 months ago. What do you make out of this? Is you have been a pioneer in artificial intelligence. How close are we to the doomsday?
I don't think doomsday is going to happen, but I do think Ray Kurzweil's projection, which he made in his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, his projection that we get to full human level AGI, machines that can generalize, imagine, dream, think, understand as well as people by 2029. I mean, that projection he made in 2005, the same year I published the book on artificial general intelligence that put that idea out there. I mean, 2029 is not looking so crazy anymore, right? And it's looking like, could we get a human level thinking machine in 2027? Possible. Is it going to be 2050? Like, very, very unlikely. Like, things are coming along quite rapidly. But on the other hand, in that same book, The Singularity is Near from 2005, Ray Kurzweil thought we'd get human level thinking machines 2029 and superhuman thinking machines 2045. Now that is starting to seem pessimistic, right? It's seeming a lot like once you really get human level self-understanding, I mean, how is it going to be 16 years between that and a super intelligence? It's not going to be that long, given coding agents, given math agents, and so forth. So yeah, we're pretty much in the end game of the period where humans are the smartest creatures on the planet, and I think if you pay attention, I mean, you can feel that happening as you say, with the AI models, claw agents, robots, and all the rest. I don't personally have a doomsday vibe about it. I'm optimistic. On the other hand, it's certainly making life complicated in this transitional period.
You have kids, and I have young kids. Uh, there are a lot of young guys who are perhaps going to be graduating out of college very soon, and they have no idea what's going to hit them in terms of agentic AI and robotics coming in. I live in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, and we have already started seeing pop up coffee shops with uh, robotic arm serving you coffees. We are already seeing that in China, which is heavily deployed. Do
Sure.
you do you see, like, how do you think we need to prepare our kids for a future that's coming up?
Yeah, I've thought about this. I do. I have five kids ranging in age from 36 to 5 years old, and I have
Wow, congratulations!
and I
I
have
I have six I have six kids, by the way,
oh
so
wow,
we
but
are
but I but I
approximately on
but
the
I've
same
got
boat.
an 8-year-old granddaughter too. You don't have grandkids yet, I imagine.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's interesting and in some ways vexing to think about. Like My oldest son, Zarathustra, is also an AGI researcher. And when he was 10 years old, he was like, if you idiots can't build an AGI by the time I grow up, I'm going to do it for you, right? And so now he's pitching in. My 8-year-old, Quarksy, is also into math and he likes AI. He's like, well, can I help you build AGI when I grow up? I'm like, well, we're not done yet, but I mean, I don't know if there'll be any work left for humans to do by the time you grow up. You better start moving, right? And my niece, who's 14 years old, her and her friends are quite confused about like what to major in college, what jobs will be there when they get out. Now, what she's doing is just, she's studying ballet dance and modern dance and so forth, and that's reasonably intelligent, assuming AGI winds up friendly to people. We can still dance, right? We can still pursue aesthetics and the arts and performing for other humans. But I think in terms of people who are in university right now and need to plot out their life, I mean, the absolute most important thing is going to be to curate your ability to learn and pivot and adapt, right? Because we know we're in an era where any particular skill is at risk of going obsolete quite rapidly. So your focus shouldn't be on like, I'm super expert at counseling this particular type of person or doing this particular kind of electrical engineering or making this kind of report or something, right? I mean, it's more important you're able to learn how to learn, like adapt to the unknown. And this is like a meta level skill, but probably the most important skill. If we go beyond that, I would say there's a couple categories of job role that are going to be a thing, at least until we get to full-on human level AGI, at which point everything changes, right? I mean, I think that hardcore engineering, science, math, I mean, we're still doing that. Like it's still humans figuring out the next version of the Linux kernel. It's still humans like myself trying to figure out how to build the AGI itself, how to build the next generation of computer chips. Like you're using AI tools, but you need human insight. But another area which is very important is intermediating between the AI tech and some particular application area. Like, okay, let's say AI is going to take over finance, AI is going to take over medicine, AI is going to take over plumbing and roofing, right? But that will be done in the first instance by people who understand both AI and finance, or both AI and medicine, or both AI and plumbing, right? So if you have understanding of AI technology at even a moderately deep level and understanding of some domain area, right, then there's a lot to be done in the next few years in terms of figuring out how AI can, in effect, take over one area after the other. And like, I mean, if you look in crypto, a domain we both have something to do with, like, okay, you can trade crypto. It's mostly random. Some people are using AI to trade crypto, but if you understand AI and you understand the weird ways of the crypto world, like, you have a chance of being one of the people who, figured out how to make AI meets crypto really work. So that this sort of cross-disciplinary thinking is super valuable. I'd say how to communicate with people, such as you're doing on this podcast. I mean, this is also still important. I mean, probably like 80% of the news media you read today is written by Claude, but it's not that good, right? I mean, you can tell when something isn't written by Claude too, and there's like someone with some actual mind behind it, figuring out how to explain something to some audience, right? And that's just, it's a little problematic from a business model side, because all these articles written by LLMs, people will sell them for almost nothing because it costs them almost nothing to prompt them and produce them. But nonetheless, a lot of human good is done by communicating things in a more genuine human-to-human way than what LLMs are able to do. And I think this is part of why podcasts like this one are picking up so much, right? Like you see the guy on the other end. And I mean, we could both be deep fakes, but there's some reputation behind it where from our presence on social networks and so on, people get the feeling that we're not deep fakes and we're the actual humans here. And then I think people want that direct communication from human to human, even if in some sense, Claude or OpenAI can organize or summarize the information better. So, I mean, there's plenty to do in the last few years before the singularity comes and the AGI takes over. But what you're seeing is the people who know how to deal with AI technology, we're all working 100 hours a week and we're like overwhelmed with shit to do. And then you do have people who just haven't managed to wrap their brains around how to leverage new technology and are then having trouble, finding a way to earn a living. And education is a weak point here too, right? Because in theory, the solution to that is teach everyone to use modern AI for their advantage and the advantage of the species. But I mean, educational institutions change very slowly, and technology and the practical world are changing very fast.
Absolutely. I am a dropout myself. And when I had my first kid about 12 years ago, I chose to uh, homeschool them. And since I come from India, the city called Bangalore, which is the
Yeah,
IT hub of India, I was ridiculed for choosing to homeschool my kids.
it's
And
a lot of
and I
work,
was like,
man. Yeah, I homeschooled two of my kids for a number of years, few decades ago. They're now grown up, but that's a whole undertaking. And homeschooling while also working is even harder. So.
absolutely. I actually take them along with me to the co-working space that I work from.
Oh, cool.
And
When I was doing that, I worked from home. So I was coding then. I had my desktop computer and my son was 7. I had his little computer next to me. I taught him to code, right? So I mean that if you get it right, it works better than the current school system, no question. On the other hand, most parents are not up to that. And for many of the parents I see out there, their kids are better off. Their kids are better off in school. Yet the schools are just not keeping up with it with the times, right? They're using rigid curriculums that were created by committee 5 years ago or something, and the world is already such a different place.
absolutely. And the reason why I bring this up is, what do you think are the key uh, uh, ideas or key philosophies do you think kids, perhaps who are in school today, should learn that is going to be very important in the future? One,
You
of course,
know,
is communication.
I've thought about this a bit because I as well as 3 grown up kids. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, right? Like one's guy's going into second grade, the other one's just going into kindergarten. And where I live now is a small rural island off the coast of Seattle, and a lot of educated parents, and the school system is quite good. My sister was school principal for a while. I got to know it well. I would say it's not like a Palo Alto school district or like a top private school. Like it's pretty chill, right? Like kids now are in a summer camp, but it's not like a math or coding camp. It's like a run around in the woods, identify plants, climb trees, like build your own shelter out of driftwood on the beach type of camp, right? And I can see, I've joked that after the apocalypse, these kids will be the ones who survive because they're learning nature skills, right? Like they know they know which plants you can eat, they know how to build a shelter, right? I mean, I don't think it's really going to come to that, but I do think from this sort of experience, I mean, running around outside in groups with other kids. They're learning to negotiate social situations. They're learning to build stuff from random materials at hand. They're learning like intersection of technology, nature, and humanity. And I think these skills are probably better than the kids of some friends I have. Like I lived in Hong Kong for 10 years. Some friends there have kids the same age. And these kids are like, to be honest, they're way ahead of my kids in math skills and reading skills and, playing violin and piano classically at level 6 or something, right? I mean, my kids are smart and they love math and science, but we haven't drilled them on stuff, right? We in fact, it's almost the opposite. We're like, put that math book down and go out and climb a tree. So I think that learning who you are and how to understand yourself and remake yourself and how to interface with other people in a rich and nuanced, mutually beneficial way, like these skills will poise you to adapt and pivot as the world goes crazy. Whereas if you're drilled on math, computer skills, and Suzuki violin method, I mean, it's all cool. But then when those specific school, like when the robot can play the violin much faster than you, and I mean, when there's actually no use to any of those math skills, because I mean, unless you're going to be a mathematician or in some very technical areas like the AI. Like, when's the last time I did long division on paper? Like, it's been, I do still know how, but it's been a long time, right? So, yeah, I think good old fashioned, like, progressive child-centered education focused on creativity and the social and emotional aspect, as well as the skill aspect, would pay off very well for this new generation. And there's a lot of educational theory behind that already. Unfortunately, it's not how school systems work now. And like I said, reforming school systems is tough. Like I see computers in the school now. It's like every kid gets a Chromebook. Then they go through, like, 5 times 6 equals 30. And then my son is like, why am I getting the same math problems over and over again? Like, I've already done that math problem. Why don't you give me a different one, right? So the way technology is used in the schools is, by and large, insanely stupid. Like, there's a robotics club in the 5th grade in my son's school, and it's quite creative. They're building their own little robots to do cool things. But this stuff is like enrichment off to the side. It should actually be the main course, and they should just get rid of all this stupid rote learning, right? But I don't see how that's going to happen until after we get AGI, actually. So it's sort of on parents to supplement what the school system does and make sure their kids don't lose the open-minded creativity that essentially all humans have from birth before society beats it out of them.
In India, I think in 2021, that's the last stats, about 60,000 students committed suicide. Because India, again, is a very hyper competitive, I don't want to use the word market, but I would say environment, which is very competitive.
No, I saw it.
And
It's interesting. Like, we did this AI hackathon last year, Hack India, and it was like 12 different universities around India. We had the finals in Delhi, and I went to Delhi for the finals. And on the one hand, it's overwhelming. You have hundreds of, like, genius students coming in, and they built all this AI stuff using our Meta AGI language, which is the smart contract language of, like, our new ASI chain blockchain. But now it's more mature. At that time last fall, it was pretty early stage. These guys fucking figured everything out and built all these things. And so many smart people, many of them had never been to Delhi before. Like, they traveled 2 days on a bus from some little city to come to the finals to present their project. A lot of brilliance and very hardworking. on the other hand, you see like these guys are a lot of people struggling for a small number of interesting jobs or good paying jobs. And most of them, even though they're technical geniuses who work 100 hours a week, like most of them are going to get a job administering some crappy business's database for them, and their brain will never end up being stimulated. And it's hard for people here in Seattle area to imagine that, actually, because I mean, I would say here, if you get a computer science degree from university, you know, if you've paid attention and done an internship and made a nice resume, like there's a decent job outlook, right? I mean, there's problems everywhere, and big tech is laying people off and so on. But it's a tremendously easier situation than you have in the developing world. Now, let alone Africa. Like we have 50 people in an office in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, working with SingularityNET project, and I've spent a lot of time back and forth to Addis, and we sent a few of the Ethiopian kids over to teach the Indian guys in Hack India how to use our meta language and so forth. But yeah, I mean, the opportunities to get paid to do AI or anything intellectually stimulating are extremely few, right? I mean, we have our AI company there. We're probably the only one. Other than that, your best option is to figure out how to fake a U.S. address on Upwork, and then you can get paid more for like outsourced programming, right? So yeah, it's the global economy is not equipped for what's happening, right? Even if young people equip themselves in their own minds, they're still wrestling with a global economy that's living in previous decades, right? And that's.
Do you see a universal basic pay going out to even the so-called third world countries? Because, as you said, after a while, humans don't have to do anything, but we still need to eat. We still need to do our basics. Do you think third world
I
countries
mean, I
would
think there's
implement
going to be
this
a
by
difficult.
taxing?
I think there's going to be a difficult transition period. I mean, I think the path is clearer to UBI in the US, Western Europe, Japan, China, Australia, right? Because there's basically extra money if the government chooses to take it and deploy it in that way. Now, who gives UBI in the Central African Republic? I mean, appetite for foreign aid in the developed world is decreasing rather than increasing. So you can imagine a transitional period where AGI is barely there, but superintelligence isn't there yet. And the developed world gives people some variation of basic income to keep everyone afloat. Whereas the developing world, you know, a few people are making a pile of money because they've joined the global economy. Everyone else has to leave the city and go back to their grandma's subsistence farm and like live off the land with no money to pay their phone bill or buy antibiotics, right? And I mean, you could see that, and then presumably after a couple of years of that, you'll get full on AGI. And once there's enough abundance, once machines are smart enough, if the machines haven't gone awry somehow, right, then the cost of supplying basic sustenance to all humans will not be too high. So I think in the last analysis, like once you get toward a superintelligence, either the superintelligence was built stupidly and it fucks us all over, or it was built well and you have abundance for all people. And I think we can get to the beneficial abundance outcome, but it's not guaranteed. But even if we do get to that beneficial abundance outcome, during the years of transition before that, I mean, you come back to William Gibson, the science fiction writer, who said the future is already here, but it's not evenly distributed, right? I mean, there's going to be a period where, yes, some people are making shitloads of money because they're the ones who understood how to deploy AI for practical purposes. People who happen to be born in a rich country will get free money because the powers that be that run those countries didn't want chaos and starvation in their own borders. And then you have a mess in the developing world until the AGI gets so powerful that it's essentially free to give all humans their share of the abundance. And yeah, that's not at all clear how that transitional period unfolds. And I think that blockchain and crypto, in theory, could play a major role in smoothing out this transition, right? Which is why I started what I did with SingularityNET. Like, it seems like if the next big breakthrough in AI, like the next ChatGPT, right? If that were rolled out on an open and decentralized network, running on machines in every country in the world and contributed to by developers in every country in the world, I mean, then I think that at least can be a factor in evening things out and smoothing out that transition. But I mean, it's not guaranteed that's how it happens. That's what I'm working toward with SingularityNet and ASI Alliance.
In fact, OpenAI started with the same vision. At least that is what Elon Musk says. But
Yeah.
clearly, they've kind of pivoted, which being the keyword in today's day and age. Everyone is pivoting some way or the other. With Sophia, you clearly created history. Sophia is the only uh, robot that has citizenship of, I think, a country. Uh,
Saudi Arabia,
but
yeah.
do you think, yeah, but do you think that you kind of missed the bus in the humanoids angle with Unitree coming in, with Tesla's humanoid coming in? What is your take on this?
I think what's interesting to me is how all this progress in humanoid robots is sort of advancing very fast, but in a different direction than what we were doing with Hanson Robotics. So I was chief scientist of Hanson Robotics for, I guess, 4 years, and I stepped back from that role in, I guess, 2018 when I founded SingularityNet and got into building decentralized platforms. I'm still working a bit with Hanson Robotics. We're using Desdemona, which is Sophia's little sister, as a lead singer in
I
in
have
our rock band, right? But
I have met her in Hong Kong.
yeah. But we have a different. I'm also involved with a different robotics company called Mind Children, where we have like a 3.5 foot tall robot named Cody, who is aimed at education market, actually aimed at being like a teaching assistant. What we were working on with Hanson Robotics and now with Mind Children as well is more the social and emotional interaction, like the robot getting up close and personal, looking in your eyes, mirroring your facial expressions, understanding what you're all about. And what it's interesting to me that with all this effort on humanoid robotics, they're not really doing that, right? My wife is Chinese, so I was in China in her hometown for Chinese New Year this, I guess, February, a few months ago. And indeed, even in like the town square of Tongxi, where her parents live, which is a little city in the middle of nowhere, you got these Unitree robots doing backflips and such. They're very cool. They can dance, they can coordinate. On the other hand, they don't walk around and chat with people up close and establish a relationship. And at the Humanoids Robot Conference last year. I wasn't there with the Hanson robots. I was there with Cody, our mind-child robot. But Cody, our little robot, was the only robot there that was talking to people. And like, he doesn't have legs yet. He has wheels. He's rolling around, smiling at people, like trying to build a bond, right, and understand who they are. And none of the other robots there were doing that. It was more like physical dexterity and carrying stuff and juggling balls and so forth. So I think all these are important, and I just wonder whether there's a real purpose to have humanoids that don't have a strong emotional bond, like except for entertainment, because it feels like for most practical tasks, the human form factor is bad. Like if I want a robot to clean my house, I'd rather it be able to go under my couch, right? And if I want a plumber robot, give it a plumbing snake for an arm that goes down the toilet, right? Like electrician robot, give it an arm that goes inside the wall and fixes the wire. Like it seems like for most practical tasks, you don't want a human body anyway. What you want a human body for is this social and emotional interaction. But yet that's not what these humanoid companies are working on. You can see, like in China, there are these humanoid robots that are showcases. But if you go in a restaurant, what robot do you see? It's like a rolling tray, right? Like it rolls up to your table and brings you the food. And I mean, it's not humanoid, but it's actually useful, right? So yeah, I think I'm glad the robotics.
Especially when you're in a hot pot restaurant, it's very, very handy.
Yeah, no, it's great, and those will get smarter, and they can more fully automate the pipeline. But similarly, like in a McDonald's, what you don't need a human guy there, a humanoid reaching out to the spatula with his hand and flipping a burger. You just need like a burger production machine, right? So yeah, I think yes, in a sense, Hanson Robotics could have been unitary, right? I mean, they were that the company was there doing humanoid robotics before everyone else, and they're still alive and flourishing, but they're more niche in terms of the emotional and social relationship. On the other hand, what Hanson Robotics pioneered and what we're trying to do also in Mind Children, these big guys are not yet doing, right? And it seems like it's a different way of thinking than what these companies are doing, because it's not primarily an engineering problem, right? Like it's getting the robot to juggle or backflip is an engineering problem. Getting the robot to empathize is not an engineering problem. So I think in the next few years, you'll see these threads converge. You'll see these threads converge together. I mean, who knows? Maybe Hanson will partner with some company making backflipping robot bodies, and then you'd get Sophia level emotional expression together with unitary level robot dexterity, right? So I think one way or another, the threads have got to converge.
And I clearly think that can be possible because at the end of the day, if you have a piece of electronic moving around your house, you might as well have a bit of emotion attached to it because uh, I think as humanity uh, is growing, we are going to be a lot more introverted society where we don't want to interact with people outside because the Gen Zs and the young kids that I'm seeing these days, and I watch them very closely because I want to understand what they are talking and the language that they're speaking and how cool they are. I feel that the short form content is going to kill human interaction
Well,
because these days,
this is why I think like the culture on this little island where I'm living is quite cool and refreshing. Because I mean, here the little kids are running around out in the woods all day in summer camps, and the high school students, they're park their cars down by the waterfront and like hang out together physically, drinking a beer and smoking a joint, right? I mean, they're engaged in, you know, collective physical interaction out in the world, just like in the good old days, right? And so it's a particular culture, and I mean, of course, the island here is mostly white and Hispanic, and it's not super rich, but it's middle class. It's not a ghetto, right? So I mean, it's a particular part of the world. But I think the point is, it's about culture, not just about technology, because the kids in the particular place where I live and the Gen Z people here, like they've got the same phones as everybody else, right? But yet, due to the particular local culture, there's a lot more, you know, warm and fuzzy face-to-face interactions. So you could use the technology culturally in a whole bunch of different ways. But yeah, when I go back to China, which I do a couple times a year, I mean, very big, diverse country with a lot of different subcultures. But there are many young people just like go to work or school, go home staring at their phones, sit home staring at their phones, go to sleep, and like that's it, right? You probably remember a year or two ago, the number one app in Chinese internet was basically an app called "I'm Not Dead," like "Are you alive?" And that all it did is like every day you boot up the app and you push the button saying yes, I'm still alive. Then it pinged your friend saying you're still alive. And then if you didn't ping it for a couple of days, then they would go check on you, because people are so lonely, just like sitting in their cubicle by themselves. They're worried they might die and nobody would notice and come get their body, right? And this is Gen Z, like this is young people, right? So yeah, clearly part of human culture is diverging in a ridiculous direction. Now, the other thing you thought with that, of course, is since everyone there lives on WeChat, the Chinese government would notice if someone died because they didn't log into WeChat, right? So yeah, it is how the culture will adapt as AGI gets more and more powerful is very tricky, right? Like one option is everybody is just puts on the goggles and they're in virtual reality porn or video games all the time, right? Well, some robot comes and gives them a bottle to suck on while they're playing in the video game, and then the robot comes change their diaper, and then they never have to take the goggles off, right? No, I mean, hopefully that's not how the majority of the species goes, right? Because there's a lot of other things to do in life. Right?
100%. I wanted to ask you this: which movie is close to what you're predicting in terms of AGI? Because
Probably
we all
none.
love movies. None,
No,
not even Ready Player One.
I mean, movies are made. Hollywood movies are made to be entertaining, not to be realistic. So, and because I think one of the amazing things we can see once scarcity is done and we're in a domain of abundance, plus we have transhumanist technologies. I mean, we're going to see an amazing flourishing of diversity, right? Like once you don't have to work for a living anymore, I mean, and people are going to form all sorts of amazing subcultures, and you'll be able to plug chips into your brain and augment your body in different ways, right? I mean, there's going to be tremendous diversity, both mentally and physically and culturally, and that's not the sort of thing that Hollywood movies excel at, right? Like it doesn't fit into act 1, 2, and 3, and there's a good guy and a bad guy and so forth. So no, I think on the one hand, movies have awakened many people to science fictional possibilities, but they kind of track everything into the most idiotic possible templates.
Interesting. I was expecting at least one name that I could actually, finish
Well,
this live stream and watch
I
it. But
mean, I
wow,
think, I think, science fiction has fleshed out a lot of interesting possibilities. So none of which I think are realistic, but many are interesting. I'm influenced more by science fiction novels than by movies. I would say I've always been a reader. So I think some of Isaac Asimov's books, like the Caves of Steel series with Daniel Olivaw, the robot detective. I remember one of those books. There was a planet where everyone just lived in a very fancy suburban house that was fully automated, and they interacted with each other by video chat, and people were afraid to ever speak to each other because they would catch a disease from each other. I mean, I read this in the mid 70s or something, right? So that seemed very prescient, right? Like that's a world you could see coming about. It's like TikTok meets COVID pandemic or something. Then I remember a novel also from my childhood, The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin, and this was sort of a anarcho-socialist utopia where there was no top-level government. There was some sort of AI coordinating the different activities, but people just wandered around, grouping into little small tribes as they wished, doing however much work they like to do together with others, and it was sort of a loosely organized free society with enough food and shelter to go around for everyone. And I think that's an interesting vision of how things could go. Then you have, let's say, Diaspora, a novel by Greg Egan, which is also old, a couple of decades old, but he had people mind uploading into space satellites, right? So people, they were living in simulated worlds inside a computer, and then it was funny when they wanted, they could download themselves into a robot body and walk around on Earth, but then they were slowing down by like 1,000,000 times. So after you download it on Earth for one day, like all your friends in the uploaded satellite had gone through 1,000,000 times as much experience as you. And then because they had to make it more exciting, our universe is about to blow up due to some particles run amok, and all the uploads have to figure out how to port into the 5-dimensional macro universe, right? You can see science fiction has explored a great number of interesting future possibilities, but each novel explores one kind of future possibility because that's already hard enough. And what we may have is like 1,000,000 of these possibilities all occurring in parallel, right? Which is the sort of thing that's hard for us to think about.
uh, and what is your take on neurodivergence? Because the founder of Pantera said that he wants to welcome people who are neurodivergent
Is
into his
that Palantir or
organization.
Pantera?
Sorry, Palantir. Yeah. Uh,
Um,
what
I
is
mean,
your take?
I think probably almost all of us who have devoted our lives to tech would now be considered on the spectrum if we were kids now. Like when I was a kid in the early 70s, you were just a geek or a freak or something, right? They didn't have all the medical diagnostics. But yeah, if I look at it, sure, I was probably somewhere on the autistic spectrum, and in that era, you just had to figure out how to deal with it yourself, or not, right? And so, yeah, of course, I always knew I didn't think like like other people or relate to the world like other people. We just, in previous generations, you didn't tend to medicalize it, and I'm not even sure how useful that is, because unless someone's really hardcore autistic, which of course is a thing, and there are many species of that. I mean, in the end, we don't know that much what to do for neurodiverse people. Anyway, I mean, I do think things have gotten better. I mean, now school systems and culture, at least in many parts of the world, they're more open to the idea there's different ways of thinking and different ways of learning, right? And you don't have the idea that there's just one way to do and understand everything. So that's certainly a plus. I mean, I think on the whole, the brain is capable of much more diversity than we ever see around us, because society tries to channel everyone into doing the same thing. So I would think once you get to AGI and everything loosens up a bit, because you don't have all the fighting over scarce resources that shapes current society, I mean, you'll probably see a flourishing of, like, let your freak flag fly, right? Like a flourishing of neurodiversity organically, plus, on the other hand, the brain chip plug-in, right? I mean, there's going to be a whole other level of neurodiversity once you have brain-computer interfacing. And hopefully, if we don't do things stupidly, I mean, people will have the freedom to experiment, both organically and through cyborgization as they wish. But it's going to be a cultural issue, right? Because there's some people who think, the human body is sacrosanct. It should remain exactly as it is now, which to me is funny. Like, without these metal cyborg apparatuses on my head, I will probably be eaten by a predator, run over by a car, right? Like, to me, we're a long way from the Stone Age already, but not everyone looks at it like that.
And what do you think? I earlier had, so I actually do a podcast. This is a live stream, but the podcast is where I drive people in my car and I have a conversation with them.
Huh?
Uh,
In
and I
Bangalore. Well, that's it's going to be exciting. Yeah, right.
in Dubai actually, but we
Oh, I
do it
see.
all
Oh, yeah,
over.
yeah. Oh, Dubai traffic is very boring. It's not as much fun as driving in India. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm doing this in India, I actually did one in India with Sebastian, the founder of Sandbox. Luckily, he didn't understand Hindi, but very often I had to pull, roll down my window and curse people out
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
driving in India.
Driving. The scary. I drove a car in Ahmedabad in like
Delhi, M.
1995. That's the most scary traffic I've ever seen in my life. It's completely insane. And they like there was no regulation of what side of the road you drive on. So, like, you coming head on at someone, you reach your hand out the window, give a funny hand signal, and that determines who goes this way or that way. And every now and then they just bang into each other. Right? It's yeah, that's I don't know if
Perhaps,
it's still like that, but yeah, that would be a hell of a podcast anyway.
yeah, perhaps that is why I live in the best city in India. I call Dubai the best city in India.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
if you're in Dubai, uh, you don't need to speak any other language if you know Hindi or Urdu, because everybody at some point or the other at the main touch points, they speak Hindi or Urdu, because generally people of
I mean,
that subcontinent.
Dubai has been impressive. Yeah, during the COVID period, that was like the only place that was open and would let
Yeah.
everyone in. And now, I mean, we work with a lot of Russian AI experts in SingularityNET, and I mean, people from Russia and the West can go there without horrendous visa hassles and meet and discuss AI. So, I mean, Dubai has been reasonably impressive. Just don't kiss your girlfriend in public, right? But on the whole, I've had a lot of productive times there. Uh,
Yeah, even PDA to a certain extent is ignored because
yeah, no,
we
I rented a car once with my wife, and we drove around the rest of the UAE for a week, and is quite an interesting contrast. You go into Fujairah and or even Sharjah, right next door, is quite different and more beautiful in some ways. But no, Dubai has done an amazing job, and I think globalization on the whole is quite important for AGI. Like, I mean, I think not that, the people in Anthropic and Google and Facebook and OpenAI, of course, these are mostly good-hearted people who none of them want the human species to be destroyed, right? But they're not like Dr. Evil or something. But on the other hand, no one company or one culture really should have responsibility for like the transition of our species to the next level, right? So like the more different subcultures and countries and people we can pull in, all else equal, the better off we'll be. And then, I mean, Dubai has actually been playing a significant role there and just being an open hub where people from all over the world can convene freely.
absolutely, Dubai is the best city in India. It is the best city in China. It is the best city in Russia. It opens up to everybody, and amazing food. Like food from every part of the world is available in
I
Dubai.
don't know. I think that's the worst Din Tai Fung in the world. There's no pork dumplings. I mean,
Well, it is what it is, because there are a few restaurants that don't serve pork out. But Ding Tai Fung was introduced to me when I was in Hong Kong, and I fell in love with
yeah, yeah.
the dumplings.
But
I
but but the
couldn't
one
help
in
it.
Dubai Mall has no pork dumplings.
Yeah, I'm a Muslim,
Oh well, there
so
you go.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
pork is not in my menu anyways.
Well, you'll have. It's interesting. I wonder. What do you think about lab grown pork? Like, what if they take one pork chop and then they use that to generate infinite pork chops after that? This will be a you will need a separate hadith from some imam to tell you whether lab grown pork chops are okay.
Well, for a lot of us, it is religion, and for a lot of us, it is convenience.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, I think we all are looking uh, to be righteous in our own
yeah.
convenience.
One of my sons is Muslim. Actually, he's 32 years old now. He's a Sufi Muslim. He converted 10 years ago or something. So I've learned a bunch about Islam from my son Zebulon, and I mean, the main thing I take from that, like, there's a billion Muslims in the world. Most are not hyper religious. Some are in all different subsets. But I mean, in the end, like, we all have to do this together somehow or other, right? And I mean, and different cultures are going to conceptualize AGI and what it's doing in different ways. But it does. AGI has the ability to make all of our lives much easier and better, regardless of what religion and culture you're in, right? So I mean, my hope is that our common foundation in humanity and our common desire to have better lives can overcome a bunch of other stuff, and then we work together to make AGI for mutual benefit. But there's certainly a lot of human nature to overcome to get to this sort of rosy outcome.
There is so much more that I want to talk to you, but we have reached the 1 hour mark. Uh, and I would love to have you back again and have a conversation with zero script, zero
Yeah,
questions in the mind and keep building uh,
we
on
should
every question. But
we should do this with the Cody robot too sometime. Actually, our little robot is not a bad conversationalist.
I would love to do that. But my last question to you is, uh, what do you think of Elon Musk is what he's doing in the space of AI and with SpaceX and the data centers in the
Well,
sky?
these are
Have
different
you ever got a
questions.
chance to meet him in person? What do you think about him?
I've met Elon once, but it was just for a few minutes at a conference. So we never. It was 10 years ago or something. Like we've never sat down and had a long heart to heart on AGI. I met him in China at the Boao Forum, which is like the Davos of China. But I mean, for space, obviously, SpaceX is amazing. They've transformed the space industry, and from what I can see, Elon made specific technical contributions into the engines and so on, right? So that, I mean that's I'm a happy Starlink user. Like I had very slow internet at home through Viasat because we don't have a cable until we got Starlink, right? So I'm a huge Starlink supporter. I think for AI so far, like Elon has seen what was coming a long time ago, even before co-founding OpenAI, let alone doing Twitter and X and so on. So I would say for AI, while he has a lot of money and is super smart and has a good vision, he's not yet understood how to run a cutting edge AI lab in the right sort of way. And I think software is different than hardware. I would say Elon has a magic touch for leading hardware teams, has not yet shown a magic touch for leading like software teams, bring together R&D and large scale engineering. I use Grok also. I mean, but
I was just
it's
going to ask you this because I love Grok.
well, Grok. Like if I mean, if you want something with almost no filter, then Grok is great. But it's not as smart as even the best Chinese open models, let alone the best from OpenAI or or Anthropic. But that's not even the point. The point is Elon understands that bigger LLMs is not the path to AGI, but he's not doing that yet, right? So I mean, I'm curious what the next move is, but I would say Elon Musk's specific moves in the AI space have not yet been as impressive as his moves in like SpaceX or Tesla, where he's being like ultra world class leader.
Would you ever use a Neuralink?
Um, sure. I mean, I think that there's other brain computer interfacing tools there now that are probably more advanced than Neuralink. But yeah, I mean, I would, I will, I will, put the phone in the head as I don't know if I'll be the first one, or maybe I'll be experiment number two, right? But yeah, I have a pretty high risk tolerance, and we're interacting with these fucking devices all the time anyway. Like just having connected directly to your brain. I want to be sure the ad blockers are pretty solid. Like I don't want drink Coca-Cola inside my head all the time.
Dr. Ben, I so want to keep continuing this conversation, but thank you so much for your time. I think this has been, I think, one of my top Aura 8 conversations that I've had. Again, we just built it question by question and had a fantastic time. Tomorrow, for our viewers, we are getting Michael Turpin back again because we
Cool.
have, partnership with Bit Angels. Michael Turpin will be coming in tomorrow and we'll be talking about what happened this week in Bitcoin and the crypto market and what could possibly be in the next week in store.
Well,
And
if you figure out where Bitcoin price is going, let me know. Yeah, my AI hasn't figured that one out yet. No.
so, according to Michael Turpin, in fact, I would love to have you as a guest
I
tomorrow.
mean,
You can ask him some
M-
questions.
Michael, and I agree with him. I mean, Michael's a big believer that the 4 year cycle is the
Yes.
dominant factor,
Yeah.
and I think that's true. But the amplitude is the important thing, right? I mean, yes, the 4 year cycle is a thing and continues to be a thing, even with changes in regulation and technology. But how deep is the dump? How big is the bubble? Exactly when it happens, the 4 year cycle doesn't tell you that, right? Huh?
So I was just doing research today, and apparently from the market high to the lowest point of the market, it's a 14 months gap, and that is very interesting because we have seen that in the past. We thought that uh, the the 4 year cycle will change because the market is changing. Michael Turpin is really bent upon saying that there will always be a 4 year cycle. That is how it is designed, and with so many external forces coming into play, with BlackRock, with Vanguard.
Bitcoin will be a 4 year cycle. I mean, it's kind
Yeah,
of built in, but I mean, there will be, but the amplitude of that cycle depends on other factors and still makes a difference. I mean, that's like saying the waves in the ocean will keep going up and down, but if a wave is super big, that still means something, right? Huh?
yeah. So, give me your question. We will, quote you tomorrow with Michael Turpin, and we'll have a conversation
Yeah, yeah.
with him on this.
I know Michael. We talk now and then, and he's he's got a fund now, which is trading based on his own interpretation of the of the cycle. But it's I mean, as everyone knows, these markets are heavily manipulated. And while I run the crypto project, I'm not part of the committee manipulating Bitcoin. So I mean, I don't have
Well,
inside knowledge of
we are.
exactly when the big holders of the world are going to decide they've driven things down far enough, are gonna drive it up and start profiting. But we see what the dynamic is, though, right? I mean, one rule I've had historically is the bottom isn't there until all the normies are saying crypto is dead, right? But the question is, will that still happen now, or is it become so normalized that even the normies won't say that it's dead anymore, right? So I mean, I think the attitudes are changing, and the regulatory changes might stop the bottom from being as low as it's been in previous cycles, but you can't say for sure, right?
I totally agree with you, but I'm really hoping that we all get some clarity and we all are able to make some money. In fact, one of my
There
questions
will be a
which I
lot of, I mean, buy and hold Bitcoin will remain a fantastic money making strategy if you have the stomach for it, right? So, yeah.
I personally don't believe in the concept of diamond hands, because very early on in my crypto career, I lost 300,000, which for an average Indian could be a life changing money. Uh, and I say this because I've learnt it the hard way, that always sell on the top, be able to have the cash flow so that you can reinvest it again. You can never time the market, but even if you're around the ballpark of all-time high, or you have your own fuck you number, I think that's pretty good to begin with, because what goes up will go down, and then you can re-enter the market again.
Yeah, I think I've been more of a hodler in the crypto parlance, but my interest has been more in the decentralized infrastructure for building AI systems than in the money aspect. But on the other hand, I mean, it's the financial aspect that has allowed us to operate SingularityNET and build all this amazing technology. So I mean, the two certainly work together. And I would say, well, a lot of Donald Trump's policies do not please me too much. On the other hand, moving toward rational, open regulation of the crypto world is looking like an improvement, right? So I mean, I think things are maturing and improving on that front, which is good. You know, if indeed decentralized networks are going to be key to the rollout of beneficial AI around the world, it's better if major countries aren't outlawing that decentralized infrastructure, right? So I mean, the regulatory progress is also going to be valuable for AI as well as for the financial aspect of crypto. But we can dig into this if we talk again. I got to jump now. But
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a fantastic conversation. And next week we are having a very dear friend of mine. He is responsible of starting the first crypto exchange in the world, right opposite Wall Street. So another action-packed week ahead.
yeah, yeah,
Ben,
yeah. All
thank
right.
you
Thanks a
again
lot,
for
man.
your.
We'll do this again sometime.
We should do this. Thank you so much.